1 in 5 Europeans believe that in certain cases, a dictatorship is preferable to democracy, according to a survey commissioned by think tank Progressive Lab. A strong minority across Europe holds anti-parliamentary views and doesn't regard the far right as a threat to democracy. The survey found widespread dissatisfaction with how democracy works and comes at a time of rising support for populist and nationalist forces across the continent, with far-right parties riding high in the polls in Germany, France, and the UK. Rich countries such as Sweden are seeing their democratic institutions come under pressure and citizens' trust in them decline. France, and to a lesser extent Britain, are in deep crisis. As well as 1 in 5, 22%, believe that in certain cases a dictatorship may be their preferred option if there was a capable and effective leader in their country. Similarly, the same amount wouldn't mind if they limited democratic rights and were not accountable to the citizens for their actions. The region that gave birth to democracy, freedom, and parliament has had a torrid time of late, as many lose confidence in such values and systems. In the modern world, these ancient values are now struggling for legitimacy. The US Supreme Court delivered a major blow to President Donald Trump's trade policy, striking down the majority of his global tariffs. The decision upheld rulings from 2 lower courts that found Trump exceeded his authority when using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose the levies. Upon hearing the news during a meeting with state governors, Trump reportedly called the ruling a disgrace, but said he had a backup plan for imposing new tariffs. Speaking from the White House, Trump indicated that refunds would not come without a legal battle, saying he expected the matter to be tied up in court for years. Trump announced his intention to sign executive orders that would use the Trade Act of 1974 to implement a 10% global tariff and launch new Section 301 investigations against specific US trading partners. Trump's program to revitalize the US rests entirely on global tariffs, which has now been struck down. With Trump's approval rating falling and Americans not seeing improvements in their lives, Trump's troubles are only getting broader and deeper. Talks between the US and Iran in Geneva continue to take place, with the US moving significant military assets to the Middle East for a potential war with Iran. An atmosphere of war is reaching fever pitch, as ahead of last year's July attack on Iran, negotiations were proceeding exactly as they are now, only for the US to launch an attack. The US continues to advocate the Israeli demands regarding Iran. It continues to insist that Iran not only end its nuclear program comprehensively, but also its ballistic missile program, such that it becomes defenseless. The US also wants Iran to abandon its proxy groups in the region. The message from the talks in Geneva continue to praise progress, but it's clear there is distance on the key issues. Each time the US and Iranian official say they have been close to a deal, Israeli officials visit Washington, and then the US message changes. In any attack on Iran, there are numerous unintended consequences, and it's very unlikely the US can protect all its assets and allies in the region. Iran's retaliation does not need to mirror a US strike symmetrically to be effective. Iran can launch ballistic missiles and drones against regional military bases housing US troops. It can place mines targeting commercial vessels or offshore energy facilities in and around the Strait of Hormuz, and conduct cyber attacks or other covert actions designed to impose costs. With US assets already in place, it can prosecute a war immediately. What remains to be seen is, will the US onslaught just be a short attack on Iran's missile program? Does it turn into a weeks-long program to degrade Iran's military capabilities, or does it turn into something much larger, with the regime being crippled and possibly removed?